Nate, thank you so much. I'm honored to be your friend and to have had the opportunity to play with you. And in my mind, you were a Hall of Famer from the time I first saw you play. And I want to thank you all for being here this evening and say congratulations to the other inductees as well. It's always great to be back at Grinnell, and being back at this time of year is especially meaningful to me when soccer is just beginning and there's so much excitement and possibility around what the upcoming season will bring. Let me say at the outset that I intend to be as brief this evening as Coach Fitch would have. Should have this wrapped up by the time you guys turn off the lights and lock the door. All kidding aside, I want to begin by recognizing my teammates. It is literally impossible to be the all-time assist leader without some incredible contributions from your teammates. And I was very lucky to be surrounded by some of the very best, both people and players, and a very large part of this award belongs to them. I also want to recognize my coaches on this occasion, and I'll talk about two of them specifically tonight. The first is my first coach, and that was my dad, who died about 3 weeks ago. Dad was an incredible guy, and he was very much looking forward to this event. He taught me the basics of soccer, how to kick with both feet, how to track the ball, how to move without the ball, and how to play with my head up and with a team focus. I'm here with a heavy heart, as you can tell, but with a lot of joy, too, because I know how proud my dad would be tonight. Before I tell you about my last coach, I want to say that I'm a very unlikely person to receive this award for at least two reasons. The first is that I wasn't interested in going to Grinnell College. My mom made me visit here, and that's true. She's there, and you can ask her. The second is that I really wasn't that interested in playing college soccer. And that all changed when I met my last coach. This guy who, although I didn't know it at the time, he was already a legend here at Grinnell College. What can I tell you about Fish that you don't already know? I can tell you that he was the son of missionaries. I can tell you that he coached under the legendary Fog Allen in Kansas. I can tell you that he landed on the beaches at Normandy. Or that he fought to bring Martin Luther King Jr. to campus at a time when even here that idea was unpopular with some. I can tell you that he had dinner with Harry Truman when Truman visited Grinnell after his presidency, or that he was invited to watch the Chicago Bulls practice and to have lunch with their coach, Phil Jackson. I can tell you that he coached at Grinnell for 47 years, but you guys know all that. When I met Fish for the first time in 1992, I was struck by the fact that his focus was not soccer, but on what his players had gone on to do. They were teachers and writers and social workers, scientists, doctors, lawyers, and the list goes on and on. He was proud of his players, and I knew then that I could come to Grinnell and I could truly be a student athlete here. So I applied to Grinnell early admission, and I played soccer, and what a gift that has been to me. Between team meetings, captain meetings, pregame talks, and bus rides, I spent hundreds of hours talking with Coach Finch. In some conversations, we visited multiple continents, and I sometimes have no idea how we got from one continent to the next. We just kind of moved, and that was okay. My last conversation with Coach was the day before he died, and I didn't realize that at the time that would be the last time I spoke with him. And you don't get a second shot at things like that. But if I could talk to him one more time, there's a lot that I'd like to share with him, including that he's the reason why I came to Grinnell. That I know he saw some of the worst of humanity when he landed on those beaches in France, but he poured the very best into everyone that he met. That as I look back at my education at Grinnell, while my formal education here was excellent, I learned every bit as much from him and from playing soccer here. That his love for Grinnell was contagious. That I remember the time a couple years before he died when he told me that he thinks of his players somewhat like he thinks of his kids. That I couldn't possibly count the number of times I've revisited his sage advice, keep your knees bent. A saying that has as much meaning in life as it does in sport. And that although my daughters never met him, they'll be better because I knew him and I learned from him. Finally, I'd say thank you for the memories. I have so many great memories from playing soccer at Grinnell that I quite literally could keep talking until you turn off the lights on me, but I won't. me share with you just one story that remains as vivid in my mind today as it was on the day in which it occurred in the fall of 1994. And it is, and I know this is bold, but in my view, it's the greatest sports psychology victory of all time. More effective than Muhammad Ali's mental warfare against Sonny Liston before their first fight. It was the day before our semifinal game against Lake Forest in the Midwest Conference Tournament, which was being held here at Grinnell. And Lake Forest's arrival just happened to coincide with our last practice of the season, which was always Higgy Day. Now, Higgy Day is something that's very difficult to explain. It's named after a legendary Grinnell soccer player named Jonathan Higgins, who graduated in the class of 1980 and is a PhD scientist at the Nature Conservancy. I'm not sure how Higgy Day started, but it became a tradition that on the last practice of the season, all the players would dress in a way that can only be described as highly unusual and bizarre. Now, Coach Fitch had a choice to make. He knew that Lake Forest, Monmouth, and St. Norbert's would be arriving right around the time we were starting practice, and it would have been reasonable, perhaps even expected, for a coach under those circumstances to cancel Higgy Day, or at least to reschedule it. But Higgy Day went on as planned, and the attire was perhaps even more severe than it otherwise would have been under normal circumstances. To give you a sense for it, one of my teammates, as I recall, was wearing only saran wrap. The Lake Forest team exited their bus in the old Darby parking lot, very near where we are right now. They were all dressed in matching warm-ups, and they looked tremendous, as professional as the German national team. As they exited the bus, they must have felt like they stepped into a scene from Braveheart, facing down William Wallace and a bunch of other seemingly crazed Scots. I can only imagine what was going through their minds as they tried to understand what their eyes saw. And that was their focus. We blanked them 5-0 the next day. The fact is that they lost that game the day before it even started. So that was in 1994. Fast forward 10 years to 2004, and I'm living in Chicago. And it just so happened that the guy who lived in the condo above me had been on that Lake Forest team. What are the chances in a city of over 9 million people? Anyway, he invited me to a party one weekend, and a bunch of his old Lake Forest teammates were there. When they learned that I was on that Grinnell team, they had a lot of questions about what in the world was going on when they arrived at Grinnell. And it was at that point that I fully appreciated how thoroughly they had been defeated. They were absolutely traumatized still, 10 years later. Fitch had painted his masterpiece, effective and organic, nothing contrived. It was a sports psychology victory unlike any other. As I conclude here tonight and I reflect on my time at Grinnell, I have to ask myself, what's left of the Grinnell experience? What's left when you're rapidly approaching your mid-40s and soccer has been replaced with hot yoga? The answer is all of it, everything. It's this place, it's this weekend that Coach loves so much, it's you, it's us, it's this community. It's a community that shows up in ways big and small, in good times and bad. It's the kind of community that I hope and pray that our daughters will find someday, whether it's here or somewhere else. Thank you all. Thank you to college, and especially to my teammates and coaches. And a big thank you to Emily and the entire Fitch family for sharing Coach with us.